Go.
Sync.
I did it again.
You motherfucker.
Welcome back to episode 10 of the Triple Baka podcast. However, this time it is merely the Double Baka podcast.
Yep. Sayu's sick.
They could have recorded anyway. They're just being a baby.
They're not on that grind set.
Yeah. Neither am I, which is why I have an announcement to make. We will be moving to a bi-weekly schedule for recording. The upload schedule has always been a disaster.
Yes.
But we have always recorded on at least a Monday or a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And now we will be doing it every other Monday or Tuesday. Probably Monday.
Hopefully Monday.
Hopefully then I will be able to actually get the editor to edit them on time. For some unknown reason, they are just simply not very efficient at work.
Yeah. It might be that we don't feed them.
They need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. Ignore me.
Back in my day, I worked 3 jobs when I went to college. But I have also not watched very much of anime, so we're just gonna jump right into the mecha.
Okay. So I've watched 5 shows this week. The first show being Tetsujin 28 Go 1980, otherwise known in the US as The New Adventures of Gigantor. I only watched 1 episode. That'll be a common theme today.
Hey, I also watched only 1 episode of Tetsujin 28.
Yeah, except you watched the 1961, and I am here to report that things don't improve.
I'm sure they do a little bit.
A bit. There's color now. It's still written like garbage. But the most interesting thing about this show was that this was a raw Betamax recording of the original broadcast of the show.
Yeah.
With the advertisements intact and subtitled.
Yeah, they subbed the fucking ads.
I don't know why they would have done that.
It's cool.
It was kind of neat to get to see some Japanese TV ads from the 1980s, but the problem comes in when they were more interesting than the actual show. So, I didn't think very much of Tetsujin 28 Go 1980. I, however, did think a lot of Saikyo Robot Dioja, which is... This show is, super interesting. I watched 2 episodes, which is more than I probably should have given it, considering the subtitles were so bad that, it was kind of hard to tell what was even happening. So, essentially, in the show, the entire galaxy is, this collection of, kingdoms. It's, 50 some odd kingdoms, and they're all on different planets, and they're in a big, space empire together.
Yeah.
And, the main character is a prince who's being sent off on, sort of a covert, operation to see what the rest of the universe is up to, or what the rest of the galaxy is up to, Seeing how every planet in this collective, is doing, if they're treating their people right, if everyone's doing okay, that sort of thing. And it's presented as, a way to, mature the prince, to, make him, more ready to rule, essentially. And, his name is Prince Mito, and he is, just a gigantic fucking brat,
Yeah.
He's just a little fucking gremlin man. He spends most of the first episode stripping naked and, doing fucking pole vaults around his ship. It's, crazy. But the show sort of progresses as, like, he visits all these planets and sort of sees what everyone's going through, and, like, because he's, like, young and stupid, he's, like, stepping into all their conflicts and, like, helping everybody. And the system in this galaxy is, like, clearly failing. But the show is essentially just them running around, seeing all the different planets, and, interacting with a bunch of cool big robots while they're doing it, and they have their own big robots that they get into. And the show genuinely seemed to have, like a genuinely really cool concept, but the subtitles were really fucking bad. Like, really fucking bad. I should mention, the animation was also really fucking terrible, too. It didn't look very good at all. Especially in the robots, I was kind of disappointed in that. The enemy robot designs were cool, but the main character's robot just looks kind of goofy and weird. And a little random fun fact I found, the main character's voice actor, the main character shares a voice actor with, Piccolo from Dragon Ball.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing I noticed, but yeah, that happened. The next one is the Time Bokan series Yato Detaman. Yeah. And I couldn't find this one. It's apparently, like, the 5th entry in the Time Bokan series, so I'm not, like, too bent out of shape about not being able to find it, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Couldn't find it at all. Well,
we did find one episode. However, it was unable to be downloaded because it had no seeders on ya.si.
Yep. Which is unfortunate.
We were unwilling to look any further.
Nope. I did scour the internet for even one episode, and I couldn't find an upload of that episode anywhere, so whatever. Yeah. The next thing I watched is Ogan Senshi Gold Lighton. Gold Lighton is a really fucking weird show. Essentially the robot is just like this really ungraceful, like, brick. Yeah. Anytime he's, like, seen in the opening, he's like, he doesn't have a neck, he can't look anywhere.
He's literally just, like, a rectangular prism with, like, a head on top and, like, two, like, box arms and 2 box legs.
Yes, he's a brick. The idea is that he's like a little lighter, and he sits in the main character's pocket. He is sentient, by the way. And whenever things come from the mecha dimension to fight them, he grows big and they do the mech battle, and then he grows small again.
I see.
This show is essentially just a lighter ad. Yeah. More than anything else. But, like, they
a lighter for kids.
Yeah. They put so much work into the animation, it's insane. This show is, like, animated, like better than anything I've seen yet out of anime from, like, 1979 through this point. It's better than anything else.
You are only watching the mecha.
True. Even like, from what I've read, even if you're considering outside of mecha, it's, like, super impressive for the time. Editor, quick, throw up a shot of this show looking crazy.
Alright.
That'll make everyone understand what I'm talking about. This show just looks really good for some reason. Well, it doesn't look good. It's animated really well. It looks like shit.
The animator's doing a good job. Director, not so much.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay, Mamoru Oshii was director of some episodes. Or at least one.
Yeah?
However, probably not the first one.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. But he was on there somewhere.
Holy fuck. Alright, well then. So this show also has, like, a really weird lore. The first episode starts by saying that there is a mecha dimension that exists on our dimension, and I am not kidding. This is how they word this. It exists on our dimension like the 2 sides of a coin. But, like, the way... They don't say our dimension, typically, when they're describing this. They say the 3rd dimension. It infuriates me. It infuriates me to no end. It does not make any sense. I have no idea what they were thinking.
Well, you know what? We don't have to get into this right now.
We don't. We can get into it at some point later. But
yeah, I'm trying to find. Okay. This is actually weird. I'm on AnyDB right now, which is like the most comprehensive anime database. And I'm looking at the episode directors list. And all of them have comprehensive lists for what episodes they assisted on, except for Mamoru Oshii, who is not actually listed as having worked on any episodes, though he is still listed in episode directors.
What?
I wonder if this is actually a mistake. Because I know that, like, even pretty notable directors like Osamu Dezaki have credits on shows where they're not actually credited. Just like some translator like read a name wrong and was like, "Oh, Osamu Dezaki," but they weren't actually credited.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alright. That actually makes more
who
sense.
Knows?
But yeah, that's Gold Lighton. That show was bizarre. I watched one episode. I didn't finish it. I didn't think it was very good. And then the next one and the last one I watched this week was Hayaku Go Lion, which of course translates Hyakuju. I'm not. Yes. I don't speak Japanese. King of Beasts Go Lion essentially is how I see it translated all the time. So I had an interesting experience with this show. A while ago, I was looking into the openings of a lot of these shows to see, which ones seemed like they were going to be good. Yeah. And I hit this show, and I watched it. And as I was watching it, I was like, this looks really familiar. Like, why do I recognize a lot of the stuff from this show? Why is this so fucking familiar to me? And as the opening was progressing, I was seeing the mechs, they were moving, and like they were about to combine together to like form into the big super mech, because it's a super robot show. Yeah. And all of the robots come together and they all turned into Voltron. And that was just a reality I had to accept right there at that moment, that I would have to watch Voltron eventually. So I have now watched one episode of Voltron, Defender of the Universe, otherwise known as King of Beasts Go Lion in Japan. I watched the Japanese version, for those of you who care. I did not think it was good at all. I thought it was fucking terrible. It had some neat concepts in there, but overall, I thought it was just like a really, really bad show. It looked terrible. It was written like shit. It had nothing going for it. I'm sorry, fans of Voltron. Although I'm pretty sure many of them don't really care about the original nowadays.
Have we already said the thing about, like, the Voltron origins on here?
We have not. So basically, back in the day, I don't know which production company it was, whoever is responsible for Voltron decided they wanted a new show to put on Saturday morning cartoons.
And Mecha was doing good in Japan.
Yeah, and they wanted a mecha show. So they sort of looked at what was happening in Japan. This was about 1983, 84, somewhere in there. And Go Lion aired in 81 and failed miserably. It did really bad. So the license for it was really, really cheap. Because it was a Toei show that Toei didn't even care about anymore. They just wanted to fucking throw it away, get it over with. And they were like, hey, can we buy a couple mecha shows from you and dub them over and make them like a Saturday morning cartoon show? And Toei was like, sure, fine, whatever. And so they bought Go Lion, and they bought another show named Dairugger 15, which is a mecha show about a bunch of boats. Yeah. I don't really know a whole lot about that one. But
and they localized both of them as one show.
As one show. They were both turned into Voltron. Most of Voltron is Go Lion, with a few shots from Dairugger 15 sort of thrown throughout. And apparently there's even some original footage in Voltron that Toei Animation just sort of did because they thought that the deal would end up being profitable in the long run. Which it was, just not really for them so much. Considering Go Lion isn't popular in Japan, even still. Nothing they tried got that thing off the ground. But yeah, that's the last show I watched this week. I didn't even finish one episode. It was just bad.
It was just dropped.
Yeah, it sucked. Like, I don't know what else to say. It was just terrible.
Oh, the next one you have to watch actually looks like it could be good.
Yeah, the next one is Sengoku Majin Go Shogun, which is a 26-episode series from 1981, and
it's an anime original.
Yeah, anime original, and it was written to be 26 episodes, which notably is the first time this has happened to the mecha genre. So, We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have high hopes for it. People seem to think really highly of this one, so, yeah.
Despite it only having a 6.55.
Yeah, no, you can't really expect high scores from shows this old.
Yeah.
I've come to learn. I mean, like, Ideon's literally on my 3x3 now, and it only has, like a 6 point something?
The only old shows that, like, actually have high scores are, like, Ashita no Joe, Lupin the Third, and, like, whatever those things that Miyazaki worked on were.
Oh, I just saw someone talking about it. Fuck, I can't remember the name. I just fucking saw someone talking about it. Why can't I remember the name? Editor, quick, cut this out.
Future
Just
Boy
kidding.
Conan?
Just kidding, don't cut it out, it's Future Boy Conan.
Yeah, because that one's getting a 4K remaster soon.
Hell yeah, that's exciting, actually.
It actually is really sick. Oh yeah, that's something I wanted to mention. Speaking of, like, remasters of old shows, it has been brought to my attention that apparently, somebody just, like, I don't know where they got it. I think they literally just bought it off, like, eBay. Found a, like, 3.5 millimeter film reel for the original Daikon 3 animation.
Whoa.
Not Daikon 4, which is the super crazy one with the ELO music, but Daikon 3, which was the much more amateurish one.
Editor, quick. Daikon 4. Alright, now stop.
Yeah. Daikon 3 was the first one, even though it's titled 3. It was for the third Daikon.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most, like, important bits of anime history, being the first thing that the people from Gainax ever worked on together.
Yeah.
Then they followed up with... They worked, like, a straight year on Daikon 4 afterward, which convinced them that they were such a great team that they should start in their own anime studio. But Daikon 3 is what started it all. So this guy found a 3.5 millimeter film reel, and he spent, like, so much fucking money on, like, getting, like, an actual film reader, and, like, he's like a professional in the art of, like, remastering old films and stuff. So, like, he scanned this all, he got it in, like, full HD now, he's color corrected it, you know, he's got the equipment, done, like, a really good job, and, like, everybody was excited for this finally to get released. But apparently, when he announced that it was going to get released, he was contacted and respectfully, politely asked, "Hello, we are Gainax. Can you not release this film, please?" And he was like, "Okay."
Okay, I looked into this while you were talking. And I found a clip in Daikon 3. It's from the YouTube channel Femboy Films.
Yeah.
Who I'm assuming are the people who are doing this.
That's the guy.
Yeah. There is a clip in this that I don't think I would have gotten had I not started this mecha journey. Where the
Daikon 3 was, like, just like Daikon 4, where it's full of, like, a bunch of references. Not in quite the concentration, though.
Notably, the Gundam shows up and turns into the Ideon.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Thank you, Gainax. Please, let them release the film.
Such a shame. The guy is holding on to it. He insists that, like, he's going to keep the thing forever, make sure that it does not get lost to time, but for the time being, simply cannot release it.
Related non-anime news, unfortunately. I know. But that reminds me, did you hear about the Mean Girls DS game?
Did they find it?
They did find it, yes. There's now a completed ROM out there.
No way.
is in an interesting state, or it was. It's been fixed.
You know, fuck the Corey in the house being anime meme. It should be Mean Girls.
Mean Girls is literally so good.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, viewer at home, go watch the movie.
Nobody believes us when we say that Mean Girls is like a 10 out of 10. Go watch it.
It's literally so good. But it's notable for having one of the most sought-after lost DS games of all time.
Yeah.
It was listed in, like, marketing catalogs. It had a full media run, and then it just simply never released. And it turns out the game was mostly finished. It had, like, a weird memory leak problem that's since been fixed in the ROM.
Yeah.
However, you cannot play it. Because the person who released the ROM released it to a YouTuber by the name of, let me check, Bob Dunga, who's currently sitting at 38,000 subscribers, not 3.8, 38,000 subs, pretty much entirely thanks to the Mean Girls DS game, by the way. She, like, reached out to all the people involved, all the different companies, and eventually found someone who was willing to leak her a ROM of it under the explicit instructions that she was not to release this ROM to the public. And she has not done it, because she wants to be able to work with people on lost media projects in the future, and she can't do that if she's known for leaking the Mean Girls DS game and getting someone fired, you know?
Yeah.
So, we're sort of at a weird impasse with it. We have a full playthrough on YouTube. The game takes about 2 hours to finish. It was not good, I can say that much.
Okay. By the way, correction. The Daikon 3 was not on 3.5mm film, it was 8mm film.
I know that you have to, like, say that correction because someone will say it, but come on, that's just...
Anybody who cares about, like, old anime shit enough to even, like, I don't know about or care about a restoration for Daikon 3 would care about the difference between 3.5 and 8mm film.
Well, maybe they should just shut up and enjoy the animations. I don't know.
It's okay. Like I don't express just how much it is a disappointment that this film cannot be released. Like, it is currently fully restored, and by restored, I don't just mean scanned. I mean, like, they did the full color correction on it to make sure that the colors were exactly the way that they were painted. They went through frame by frame and manually edited out all the shit, like the tape that was on all of the cells and, like, different scratches and stuff so that it, like, looks clear and, like, perfect and professional, which takes so much work. Like, there was literally tape over, like, part of the screen for, like, the entire film, and they have gone through with, like, Photoshop and, like, manually repainted over the tape to make it look the way that it should, without it being noticeable at all, where it just looks like a clean image.
Oh my god.
And they can't release it.
And I would just like to say the reason they can't release it is because they did a promo beforehand.
Yes.
If whoever you are out there who could possibly get their hands on the original Daikon 4, like stuff, right? Because, you know, Daikon 3 is, like, the deeper cut one. Less people care about that. But if you get your hands on Daikon 4, never, ever, ever let anybody know you have it until it is finished.
Yeah, finish the entire thing. Do not attach it to your own name. Upload it to nya.si and just wait for somebody to download it, and they will advertise it for you.
Yes, please. I beg it. I need to see full quality Daikon 4.
Yes.
Like, viewer at home, if you have never seen Daikon 4, it is magical. It is so good.
It would be especially amazing to be able to see, like, the part of Daikon 4 that, like comes after the actual film is over, where you get to see the production materials. Because in the version that was on Laserdisc, which was how it was distributed on Laserdisc, that part is just so like blown out that you can barely see it.
Yeah. It's just it would suck if Daikon 4 specifically was lost to the world.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, alright. Is that everything anime this week?
I do believe so.
Yes.
3.5 millimeter film would be impossibly small. I don't think that's real. I don't think you can have 3.5 millimeter film.
I'm looking it up right now.
I know that there's 35 millimeter film, which is what I got it mixed up with.
Yeah, no, there is no 3.5 millimeter film. You are correct.
Anyway, the topic for this week is, speaking of old things, old good, new bad, and all that may pertain.
We were originally going to do early 2000s anime culture, but as Sayu is not here this week, we are holding off on that one. Yeah. That'll be hopefully next episode. We hope.
Hopefully. Where do we even begin? Well, the obvious path is anime, because anime was good when it was old, and now it's bad.
Editor, quick! Soul Eater, not put in the fight scene. You know exactly the one,
bro. There's this like new Haruhi series. I guess it's not new anymore, but like mid 2010s, they made a spin-off series for Haruhi, where it's like the new timeline where like Yuki Nagato is like a real girl instead of a robot. And it's so shit. It's so bad.
Was it just like the arc it was adapting, or was it just like the way that the show like was?
It was just like an AU, basically.
Oh, like there was no like source material, it was just like they were just doing it?
The source material was a single arc, but they weren't adapting the arc, they were just like putting it in that universe. Because the arc was they went to like a different universe.
Oh.
Which was a fan favorite amongst like fan fiction writers, where it was like, oh, what if everything was normal? Oh.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, no, I could believe that it's shit. I could believe it.
Yeah, you should look at it. Just the art. Okay, I'm not one of those people that thinks that digital animation looks worse than traditional. I think there are specific things that greatly hold the potential of digital animation back.
Yeah.
But this new fucking show looks so lame.
You are correct. This is like bad. Oh
yeah.
Wow.
Like look at this. Okay, we're not getting off to a strong start. But like I don't know, it's just lame. It's just lame.
It's bad. Yeah.
Let's actually talk about cell animation versus digital.
Yes, and let's talk about the greatest movie ever created that I have never seen, Red Line.
Red Line, the last cell animated feature film from Japan, I do believe. Yes. Now, it was completely digitally mastered, but they were actually drawing all the character art on cells.
Yes.
And no CG cars. The cars were not CG. They drew those by hand, too.
Yes. The impossible feat for anime, I know.
I think most people would look at Red Line, and they wouldn't actually know that it was animated on cells.
Red Line looks unbelievably good.
Yeah.
For, like, even for, like, digital animation, it would look unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the thing... Like, I do agree. There's definitely been something lost from, like, traditional animation on cells to digital. Mm-hmm. Even though, like, I bring this up all the time. character art and animation is still drawn traditionally in modern anime production. Like, there's still the key animators work on paper and draw with like colored pencils. However, there's a guy who traces over the Genga, as it's called, and just makes it into a digital drawing. And in doing so, well, not only is the guy who's tracing normally just like a worse artist, but also, because of the canvas size that most anime is drawn on, so much detail is lost. Like, once you actually finally render the anime, there's just, it kind of is a little blobby. Like, there's just not enough pixels on the canvas to capture precise line detail, as there is in cell animation, where obviously there's no canvas resolution. It's just like a line on a physical thing.
Yes.
That is the major difference I really see between digital and traditional animation.
Yeah, a lot of small details are, like, missing. And on top of that, the way digital animation is done, it encourages a lot of shortcuts.
There's just a lot more shortcuts you can take.
Which, of course, they do, because anime is produced on, like, the smallest fucking budget imaginable. Yeah. And you're just not able to, like, really do as much when you're not forced to do it all, you know?
I think even when you're not using many digital effects, I think, like, high-end, well done, like, you know, really good digital animation usually looks better than, like, traditional animation, assuming you're actually, like, doing it well, and you have, like, good computers that can actually handle, like, high detail images. But I would say that, like, low budget, like, shitty, kind of, like, untalented cell animation generally looks so much better than, like, the low end of digital anime.
Yes. I mean, specifically, like, Itaeon. Very bad looking show. The show's ugly. It's hideous. As much as I love it, it's not good looking. And that show looks better than, like, your average, like, Moe Blob show.
Yeah.
I mean, average, of course. I'm not saying, like, the ones that randomly decide to be masterpieces.
And it's only getting worse. Because, like, anime right now, there's not that many more people working in the anime industry than there was, like, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. But you will look at the seasonal charts and you'll notice there's a lot more shows than there was 15 years ago. They keep outsourcing everything. They're just, like, spreading staff thin. Like, the reason why, to a lot of people, it looks like there's so much less good anime is because the talented people who could actually make good shows are normally working on just some project which is in, like, pre-production for 7 years. And so everybody else in the industry just gets, like, new guys to work with. Because... let me tell you what, retention in the anime industry for animators is not that high.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
There is one thing I would like to mention with, you know, in regards to old good, new bad.
Yeah.
As I have taken my journey through the mechas, there is one inevitability that is waiting for me at the end of this godforsaken timeline that I've set up for myself. Yeah. And that is that somewhere around the early 2000s, all of the mechas are slowly but surely going to become CG, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Just nothing at all.
What was that one Gundam movie that I linked a Sakuga clip of where they actually animated the robots?
Oh, fuck. That was Gundam... It came out in 2019. I know that much. Let me check. It was Gundam The Origin, Advent of the
not The Origin. Gundam The Origin does have CG robots.
You're right.
They just do a lot of weird digital effects on them, which makes them occasionally look like they're not actually CG.
Is it, hold on.
It was older. It was 2000s.
2000s? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we don't know the title of it, but...
I don't know the title. No, I know. It was Gundam versus Hello Kitty.
Alright, you know what? Okay, here's why I don't like digital anime as much is the fact that there is so much like digital effects work. Like I really wish there was still some like anime projects that just said like, you know, we should do it all by hand. Like, you know, newer Miyazaki movies, and by newer I mean, you know, the last one. All the Miyazaki movies, and well, Studio Ghibli in general, it was all traditional. Up until, you know, they went digital just like everybody else, but it didn't really look like it because they said, you know, no fucking digital effects.
Yes.
We're not gonna have gradients everywhere and like glowing effects over everything. It's just like they work in a normal animation workflow where you do everything by hand.
Yes. Except
for I know that there's many CG elements in like even Miyazaki movies. They just don't do it the same way.
Mm-hmm. You know, on the subject of VFX, anime news, JoJo got shown off. Stone
nice.
Ocean.
Yeah.
And there are some pretty bad digital effects in there. Whenever stands are out, like their stand aura is like this fucking like After Effects like fire effect, and it looks so cheap and so bad.
JoJo has always looked like shit. The David animations.
Yes. I'm sorry, David Productions. I'm sorry. The show looks like garbage.
It really does. I mean, it looks appealing in its own way. It adapts JoJo art. You know, it has a charm.
Yeah.
But it does look cheap.
like I've always said, if you have the ability to, read the manga. JoJo is so much better if you read the manga. Not only do you get, like, extra dialogue and character interactions and extra just everything that gets cut from the anime for time reasons, it looks consistently better than the show does.
We don't have to only talk about anime, but how have we not brought up the OVA market yet?
Holy fuck, yeah.
The OVA market was basically the entire reason, like, why people like anime, because it was, like, there was so much more creative freedom, like, it harbored, like, the hardcore fan base that, like, made everything feel so, like, genuine and, like, soulful. The fact that, like, people could just use this excess money made on, like, merchandising to pour everything they wanted into something that wasn't like regulated by outside factors, like, oh, what can I put on TV? And now, what can I get on Netflix or like get approved by like Apple and Google or whatever the fuck? They just like published it themselves on their own DVDs, and fans bought them up because, like, you know, they
looked cool.
That's how you did it. You know, you collected a bunch of fucking DVDs and Blu-rays for a time. And now that market is so much smaller, it's just not viable to make OVAs anymore. And now, anime is almost entirely held to, like, Japanese TV standards, which are ridiculously creatively limiting.
I'm about to go full conspiracy theorist. You ready for this?
Yeah.
The OVA market is dying because the Blu-ray market for anime specifically is dead entirely. In the West, not as much. You can still find cheaper Blu-rays over here just because
Western Blu-ray market is kind of a different thing. It's not so much about supporting the creators as much as it is about, like, getting good localizations that have more care put into them.
Yes, and getting the product out there, mainly. The Blu-ray market is more about building the brand here, rather than releasing the thing. But in Japan, the Blu-ray market is, like, almost completely dead, unless you have, like, an extra $500 that you want to throw at the show that you like, because, you know, that's how much they fucking cost.
As I understand it, in Japan, like, anime fans aren't that upset about the idea of, like, Blu-rays and home video releases costing a lot.
Well, yeah.
Because they do buy them. Like, there's a reason why every show is still released on these Blu-rays. And they are very nice, because they come with more than just the disc. They come with, like, art books and all sorts of things. They're mostly, like, a super fan thing.
Yes.
Like
it's for you to show your support, right?
They're considered similarly to like figures or any other kind of merchandise, where it's like you just buy a shit ton of them if you're a fan of a show, so that you can actually financially support the thing, because it's not making any anime. It's not, no anime is making money on TV.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't happen.
It's still like a super fan thing. Like, it's just a donation. You can't release a thing that's only on Blu-ray, because not everybody is like an ultra mega fan. There's not enough of them.
Exactly. And because you can't release anime at like a cheap amount right now because of these Blu-ray things, like the OVA market does not exist anymore. There are no OVAs. The most we have are ONAs, which sort of depends.
It doesn't have the same advantages that the OVA had. The biggest advantages of the OVA were the fact that it had like no limits from like Japanese TV standards or anything.
Yes.
And now you have like Western standards, because all the fucking streaming services are from American companies.
Yes, I was about to get to that. So the reason why all of this
Japanese people don't even buy like streaming things.
No, they don't. The reason why all of this is the case is because the way anime studios are making a lot of money right now is by selling the streaming rights to their shows to foreign companies like Netflix and Disney and fucking Sony and a whole bunch of others, so that they can make some money off of the show by, selling the streaming rights. Yeah. And because of this, Netflix doesn't want you to buy the Blu-ray of fucking Carol and Tuesday. I guess that's
B-Stars
Netflix,
or whatever.
Yeah, or B-Stars. They don't want you to buy the Blu-rays of those. Not even Japanese ones. They don't want you to buy those. They want you to pay for their streaming service.
Yeah.
They want you to keep paying for it every time you want to rewatch that show, because no one would mind if they're just gonna like watch the show once and be done with it. But if you want to keep watching B-Stars every few years, or if you want to rewatch Carol and Tuesday, you have to pay for the Netflix streaming service, because you can't reasonably afford the Blu-rays that do exist.
Yeah.
That's why anime is bad.
Because, like all of these fucking guys, they have to put their fucking... I mean, not every anime. There's so many anime which doesn't get brought over, which suffers from the same low-budget like shit, because of, I don't know, like, anime wasn't made to only be on TV and streaming services. Like, a lot of Japanese industries are ridiculously slow at adapting and finding new paradigms for monetization and production. I mean, the fact that anime is still primarily like the way that it is, where like you draw it on paper and everything, the anime industry does not change. Like, it expects the world to remain the same around it, and it is not, and so it can't cope. And now there's like a trillion anime, and they're not getting more animators. They're not making new content paradigms. Studio Trigger had a really good idea with like figuring out a way to kind of monetize anime in a similar way to like the way that like indie games are monetized, where like you have like a Patreon and there's a Kickstarters, but it didn't work. they didn't get there. They're only one studio.
Yeah. I do wish more studios had sort of backed them up on that and gone that route. Yeah. Because then we could have gotten the, I guess, like the OPA, original Patreon animation. Yeah. And we could have had, like, a weird market.
The issue is, I really don't have a lot of hope for the future of the anime industry. Like, nope. I definitely think there's at some point going to be another crash, but, like, that's not going to fix it. Because, I mean, the crash will come when, like, American companies kind of end up dropping anime, because anime is slowly going to start dropping Western companies.
Yeah. We should probably mention the big news about the, I guess it's not really fully Western, but about the big company here in the West that is strangling anime to death.
Crunchyroll is now one with Funimation. They're the same now.
which Funimation is owned by Sony,
Yeah.
which means Crunchyroll is now owned by Sony.
Sony is not... Sony, though they reside in their HQ in Japan, is not a Japanese company. They are merely a corporation.
Yeah. and Sony now has the streaming rights to basically every anime.
They're
Netflix has a
cultureless.
few.
They're global.
Yes, and they see anime as dollar signs because Netflix sees anime as dollar signs. So, you know, no one in the streaming industry actually gives a single fuck about what happens in anime as long as it's presentable to advertisers.
I honestly think, like, I don't know. I don't have many good predictions because I don't know much about, like, international markets when it comes to, like, anime. But I really think that kind of what's going to end up happening is, like, you're going to get another, like, 2000s anime boom thing where, like, anime is getting pretty popular with Western audiences, and it has been for years now. It's happening slower than the 2000s anime boom, but I think it'll go the same way, where you're going to have all these new quote-unquote anime series being produced by, like, Western animation studios. And that's kind of end up gonna just, like, overshadow actual anime because normies don't bother to distinguish them. And a lot of people, if you start talking about how, like, anime is a Japanese colloquialism at them, they'll kind of, like, think you're racist.
Yeah.
And then they'll just, like, get mad that, like, you care about where the show comes from.
I do care about where the show comes from because, well, it's hard to describe, but essentially, creative freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the culture of auteurship.
Yeah.
That's like the big thing.
As well as just otaku culture. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No Western animation studio cares about something like otaku culture. Like, that's a very Japanese market sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what anime is.
The closest we have over here is, like, quote-unquote fandom culture, which even then...
Yeah. I mean,
even then...
It's just totally different.
Yeah. And awful, by the way.
But what I was gonna say is we're gonna have, like, all these, like, Western animation things that are going to be called anime in pop culture. Normies won't distinguish them or will refuse to distinguish them. And then the Japanese markets are just gonna end up getting dropped. Either because people like the Western productions more, because they suit their sensibilities more, or Western companies start, like, pushing Western animation as anime more because they have more control over it, because, you know, the Japanese markets numerous times have just said, like, we have to protect artistic freedom from, like, Western censorship, or not censorship, but just, like, control in general.
Yes. What was that one show, that new one that's, like, not produced at all in Japan, not produced in Japanese, not directed by a Japanese person in any way, and yet, like, Netflix or whoever is like, this is anime! Look at our new anime! And it's like
I don't know, there's a new anime every month. I mean, they just announced High Guardian Spice again.
Oh, fuck. High Guardian Spice. No, get that shit away from me.
High Guardian Spice is fucking weird. Apparently, it was just total vaporware for, like, like, a number of years, because this studio literally entirely disbanded.
Yes.
But I guess it's back. And Crunchyroll is telling me it's anime, even though not a single person who knows Japanese has touched it.
Yeah. What I really don't get about High Guardian Spice, this is just a weird tangent, when you give your money to Crunchyroll, it is under the assumption that it is going to the anime industry, because they tell you that. I mean,
more and more, that was, like, that was the marketing gimmick of Crunchyroll. And they instead decided to make their own convention and start funding Western animation projects. And, like, create an awards show, and it's like, just...
No, the show that I was thinking of was that one that was like, it was about like the Black Samurai, like the real historical figure.
That one was produced, like it was animated in Mappa, Studio Mappa. However, the director and the writers were all native English speakers who lived in America and didn't know Japanese. Like, and
it shows.
For the most part, it was basically a completely Western production, but they outsourced the animation to Studio Mappa.
Yeah, if you actually, like, read the description, it reads like what, like, some weird normie's perception of what anime is.
It is as much anime as Neo Yokio, and nobody recognized Neo Yokio as anime except for me, just because it's epic.
Neo Yokio is the best animation project ever.
Literally, it is up there. I consider Neo Yokio an unironic 10 out of 10.
Editor, Toblerone.
I'm not just speaking about like I'm not saying it's 10 out of 10 in the same way that I call like Sonic 06 a 10 out of 10. It is just genuinely a great entertaining time. Like, that is well produced. It is perfect. The director knew exactly what he was doing. It is an actual legitimate bona fide masterpiece.
Now hold on. Are you implying that Sonic 06 is not a legitimate 10 out of 10 masterpiece?
It's like Deus Ex, where they created a 10 out of 10, and they don't know how they did it.
You mean Deus Ex?
Deus Ex.
Oh, Sammy.
Do you know the thing about Deus Ex? Like, the studio followed up Deus Ex because it was a massive success. I mean, people to this day still say that Deus Ex is like one of the most in-depth, well-crafted RPGs of all time. Even though it's very funny. Like, it's very janky and weird. But the studio followed up Deus Ex, and as far as I can tell, it was the same people working on all of them, like at least a couple more times, and both of them were just terrible. Like, they had nothing that made the original good in any way, and they just continually just did not understand what was good about Deus Ex. Like, everything good about Deus Ex was completely a mistake. Just, like, literally monkeys at the keyboard.
That's beautiful. That is really incredible. Oh my god. You know what, we can use that as like a segue into like video games. We can talk about, how older video games are better.
Older video games were definitely better. Mostly just because of the fact that they were a solid single product.
Yes. I have a few more thoughts.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, right, there's always been trends in the video game industry, right? Always.
Yeah.
However, with Sony turning their eyes entirely into the Western market, with, no eyes on the Japanese market anymore whatsoever.
Yeah.
With Microsoft never caring about making games to suit the Japanese market, and instead only caring about the English market, while begging the Japanese to buy their console.
Please.
please, we only sold 10 this month. And, like, with, Nintendo really being the only, like, Japanese big game developer that's, like, left that, isn't, like, Capcom or...
Yeah.
I guess Sega's involved in this, but Sega's a whole other beast. I fucking hate Sega. I know, Sonic fan hates Sega. Crazy.
No way.
It's more common than you might think. Like, the video game industry is becoming more and more American by every passing day. Or I guess more and more Western, We're seeing a lot of French studios and a lot of, general European studios sort of taking it up. Yeah. And the result has been every single AAA video game being just a weird primordial soup of the same mechanics put over a different open world map.
I don't understand the video game industry.
I don't either. Every single Far Cry game, every single Watch Dogs thing, every single like open world Ubisoft game plays exactly the same as every other open world Ubisoft game. The only like variety you can find in this market is, like, occasionally EA will spit out something interesting.
Yeah.
And that's, like, it.
There needs to be, like, at most, a cap of, like, 100 developers on a game.
Right? No, like, they will put thousands of, well, not thousands, but, like, hundreds, multiple hundreds of people on one video game. And there's, like, no amount of directing talent in the world.
I'm pretty sure there was literally, like, 1,000 different developers that had their hands on GTA 5 at some point. Not, like, congruently, but, like, the total amount of, like, developer credits is over 1,000.
God, that hurts. Because GTA is published by the same people who published, like, BioShock and such, right? And, like, the story behind BioShock is really interesting if you look into how it was developed.
By the way, I don't want to hear it. GTA 5 is shit. Everybody in the comments section, don't respond to this. I'm right.
Nyuu is correct here. But, the thing that is the most interesting about BioShock is that the director was very hands-off on it. If you watch the developer commentaries that you can find when you're playing the remaster, it's like most of the development of the game was handled by just the team.
Yeah.
The internal team at, I think it was Irrational at the time.
Yeah.
They had, like, such a, like, passion for this one game that it spat out one of the best Western-developed games ever made. Even still. BioShock, like, the first one, is still one of the best games ever created. I will fight anyone who tries to say that it's not.
Yeah.
And, like, it's weird because, like, the director didn't have much of, like, an input. He had some input, of course. He
I actually wanted to say
direction.
This is part of the thing that I don't understand about, like, the video game industry is the role that directors have, at least in the Western games industry.
It's almost none.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I think the director mostly just exists to, like, be the intermediary between multiple departments and make sure that they're actually, like, working together. But they're not, like, a creative position.
No. If anything, over here in the West, the producer is the more creative position, oddly enough. You don't see it super often, but oftentimes more Western-style franchises tend to be led more by their producer and not by their directors.
Yeah. You see some mention of directors now with, like, Neil Druckmann, who worked on the zombie
Last
game.
of Us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mostly just as an imitation of what a director would be in a movie. Like, he directs the cutscenes and, like, the visual presentation and, like, how the story plays out. But when it comes to, like, actual game design, it's like...
He's awful.
Like, not just that he's awful, but it doesn't feel like he actually plays a part in it.
No, he doesn't.
He's not a game director. He just directs the cinematics.
Kojima.
No, Kojima's a great game director.
I'm kidding. Yeah, no, he really is. When he feels like directing a video game.
Yeah.
That's like the whole meme with Kojima.
Yeah.
But no, like, Neil Druckmann is like the Kojima meme, but, like, real.
Yeah.
Like he does not care about video games. He cares about making video games a fucking, like film branch.
Neil Druckmann is not, he's not the sickness, though. He is merely a symptom of Sony.
True! He might be the parasite, you never know.
Yeah.
The Last of Us made a lot
Specifically
of money.
Sony Interactive Entertainment, not the HQ company.
We still hate the HQ company.
Yeah, they're bad too.
But we have a special place in hell reserved specifically for Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way the video game industry is right now is just, like, fucking terrible.
Yeah. But how was
terrible.
old good? Let's talk about how old good.
Because old video games cared about being video games.
Yeah.
Go figure, I know. Old video games was how we got stuff like Shadow of the Colossus.
I actually was gonna, when I mentioned no more than 100 devs, I wanted to bring up that studio, Team Eco, because they only had ever, like, 70 to 80 people working in that studio.
which is insane.
Like there was like 74 there were 74 video game developers that worked on that PS4 game.
74 directors.
Yeah, no, 74 developers.
Oh my god. The Last Guardian is like, it's like a testament, you know, to like how good
there are still some good like video game companies, specifically
Bandai Namco.
I want to mention, okay, Valve was way better back in the day. Valve has definitely gone downhill, but it's not that their games have gotten worse. They just don't make them. They just don't make the games.
If they just like made the video games, I would be right there for them.
Because
you know?
Half-Life Alyx, like, to me, it demonstrated that you could like make a full, unbelievably high quality, high fidelity AAA game that's like well developed and polished, that lasts more than 2 hours, with a developer team that's still like creatively focused and condensed. Like, there's only less than 300 people who work at Valve in total, including the contractors. And not all of them were working on Half-Life Alyx. That was such a small team. It had to have been like a similar size, if not even smaller, than the dev team that worked on like a Team Eco game.
Yeah.
Now granted, they spread that development out over multiple projects for the past like decade. But you could say not every company can work in the same way Valve, but like, why not? Like, why can't every company be like Valve?
Literally, there's no reason why they can't, you know?
If you just start the company a certain way, you, like, I guess you have to get a bit lucky or whatever, but...
Like, I don't know, like, I can already sort of see the argument, which would be something along the lines of, well, they didn't make something as big as fucking Assassin's Creed, whatever the newest one is.
If they made a flat screen, just like Half-Life 3, with the same amount of like developer talent as went into Half-Life Alyx, similar scope, everything, it would be one of the most well-selling games this decade.
Yes. Unironically. I've seen Half-Life Alyx. That game is insane.
Yeah.
It is unreasonably well put together. Yeah. I don't know. When it comes to, like smaller versus larger teams, you know, smaller definitely shines through with the results.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's the fact that they're a private company. They've never gone public. They literally just have their staff and, like, that's it.
That is the case. Shareholders ruin everything.
The whole concept, I mean, I don't mean to get political or anything, but like the whole concept of like the stock market and just like shifting money around and like the investors is like, I really feel like this is like one of the largest reasons why capitalism just ends up fucking everything up.
Yeah.
Like a private company that's just like the staff, it's not that bad. Like it can yield great results.
Yeah. I should mention that, the, like, Cap 100, I feel is a little flexible because, one of the most thematically, like, sound games I've played this year, Dark Souls 3, had 200 people working on it.
Yeah.
However, the director of that game is, like, super tight on, like, his focus on, like, everything.
Japanese game devs definitely have more focus on the director.
Speaking of old good, new bad, Dark Souls 1 is the best Dark Souls game.
True.
It's literally the best one. I haven't finished Demon Souls yet. We'll see. Maybe older will be better. That's an exciting idea. How far back can we go? Is Pong the best video game ever?
No. I mean, I think video games probably peaked. I don't know. When would you say video games peaked?
Video games unironically peaked in the...
I would say like
Sixth?
PS2.
Yeah, 6th console gen. Peaking its head into the 7th. Just a bit, you know? Just enough. Before
the
like
seventh,
the
beginning, the games industry beginning and end of seventh is such a difference.
Yeah, no, it's a huge difference. Like, holy shit. For example, we went into the 7th generation of video games with a Castlevania series with a purpose and a creative director and talent working on it, and we ended it with shitty God of War.
Oh my god, like, bro, the difference between, like, anime in the year 2000 and 2010...
Holy fuck.
Like, if you ever realized it was all just the 2000s, that was the turning 2000s.
Point. The 2000s were one of the worst, like, decades ever. If you think about it, that's when we lost the mall goth.
Yeah.
What are malls supposed to do now?
Everything, it was the iPhone.
It was literally, phone bad.
Fucking Steve Jobs. I'm not glad he's dead, but I'm glad he's gone.
That's a good phrase.
A quote from Richard Stallman.
No, like, literally, like, the 6th gen was probably the cap. You still had the 3 consoles, they still had their multi-plat games, right? But you still had a library of exclusives on each console and enough variants on the consoles to make each one, like, more of a consideration, you know?
Yeah.
The PS5 is literally the Xbox Series X with a different GUI. Like, fucking, you know?
Yeah.
Who cares? But... like, the GameCube is vastly different in terms of graphics and performance and game types and the physical media and the controller. It's vastly different from the PS2, which is vastly different from the Xbox. And then on top of that, you had the Game Boy Advanced, and then you started with the DS and the PSP right in that era.
Yeah.
Which literally gives you most of all of the video games that are worth playing. Like, I'm not even joking. If you just stick to that era, you can find literally most of the good video games. And if the good video games are located in a previous generation, you can mod your Xbox to emulate them.
You know what? Specifically about older video games, and it doesn't even need to be that old. Like, up through PS3, this was still normal. I've been wanting to get into fighting games lately. Mm-hmm. And I found that, like, when I look at most fighting games, they look pretty, like, visually appealing to me. Like, I'm pretty into it. I'm like, damn. When I look at, like, Melty Blood, I'm like, damn, they look good. And when I look at, like, the older BlazBlue games, I'm like, damn, they look good. And then, when I was, like, did I tell this? Like, when I was at the arcade with... Oh, shit.
Editor! Fix it!
I'll fix it. When I was at the arcade with Sayu, we sat down and we were like, oh, let's try out the fighting games. Because I kind of want to get into fighting games. And we sat down, I saw BlazBlue. I'm like, that got a cat in it. I liked him. So we played BlazBlue. And I was like, damn, this is really good. And so when we got home, I was like, all right, what fighting game at home should I get into so I can actually, like, get good? Because he totally destroyed me, like, every time.
Yeah.
And he was like, everybody's into, like Chris also was like, everybody's into Guilty Gear, whatever it's called right now.
The new one.
The new Guilty Gear. And I look at it, I'm just like, I don't wanna.
No.
And
I don't like that.
For a little bit, I was wondering why, and it's really mostly aesthetic. Mm-hmm. Not just that I'm not, because it's not just that I'm not into, like, Guilty Gear's whole deal. Like, I don't like Guilty Gear's music and all sorts of things. It's really the sprite work.
Yes.
Guilty Gear had such nice sprite work. Like, and not Guilty Gear. BlazBlue has such nice sprite work. Yes. And Guilty Gear is a 3D thing. And okay, this was something that I really started feeling when, like, Arc System Works was that the guys they did the Dragon Ball one, Dragon Ball Z, whatever it is,
Fighter Z.
Was that Arc System Works?
Yes.
Okay, I really don't like Arc System Works, like, fake 2D style.
Yeah, no, I would much prefer it if they just did sprites.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it looks good. Everybody, like, is like, oh my god, oh, they figured out how to make 3D CG look like a 2D thing, and whenever I look at it, I'm just like, why didn't you just draw it? It would look better.
It literally would look better, and it probably would have been less work. Like, I don't know, it's, I don't like how those games look.
Yeah.
If I were to get into a BlazBlue, it would be, I think it's a Continuum Shift, I think, is the one that's, like, still really good.
The one that we played was Central Fiction, which is a very solid game, it just has shit netcode.
Yes. Which is why, once we have the 3 Baka HQ, we're gonna have the living room outfitted with 2 arcade sticks
Hell
for PC.
Yeah.
And we can hook them up to our Steam Decks and just play it, because I own one of the games already on Steam, so...
Probably gonna download the old Melty Blood game. There's like a community edition that's still supported by people.
Yeah.
I like Tsukihime.
I don't know, I like the aesthetics of fighting games. I also enjoy just, like, a few rounds here or there.
Yeah. I don't like tag system fighting games. I like it when you just select a character and, like, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. There's no switching characters or fucking whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's, you have your character and you fight with them and you learn their moveset and then you get good.
Imagine if, like, Persona 4 Arena had, like, the graphics of Persona 4 dancing. It would just look like garbage.
That is because Persona 4 dancing is garbage.
Sprite work, I don't even think it's, like, the highest end, most well-animated thing in history, but that game's aesthetics are so solid.
Yes. I want to cut in here real quick and mention, of my old content, right, I released, 5 reviews, I think?
Yeah.
And of which 2 of those were negative. That would be my Vib Ribbon review and my Persona 4 Dancing All Night review. And my Vib Ribbon review, you know, it's not my favorite video. I don't like that one very much. I'm gonna leave it up. You know, I'm not a coward. I'm going to leave the video out.
Yeah.
But, you know, Vib Ribbon has its fans, and I can accept that. You know, they're fine. They're whatever. I will never, in my life, accept apologetics for Persona 4 Dancing All Night. That game is seriously so awful, and anyone who likes it is simply wrong. I'm sorry. Literally, apologetics for that game all come down to, well, DLC isn't a bad thing when most of the song list is DLC. So, you know, that's not good.
Alright, here's another reason why old good.
Yeah? No DLC.
Specifically with, fighting games. I don't like the way that fighting games are, an evolving thing in terms of, balancing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody disagrees with me on this. And yeah, I get it. I'm not a fighting game guy. I think I even mentioned this last episode. But I don't like that, fighting games are continually updated, where, the characters', stats and balancing will change with every update. I think it's so much less interesting to kind of, if some guy learns how to play one character good, and then their technique started going across the community, that character now gets rebalanced to put them on the same level as, everybody else.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird.
The reason why things like Melee have, any old fighting game that people still play is because it's more interesting to have a fighting game where people will learn how to play a character and now that character will be on top, and then somebody else will pick up some other random character and they start developing new techniques with them, and now it changes the whole thing. The game is one solid unchanging thing, but how people play it changes over time. Once upon a time it was nothing but Fox and Marth. That was all it was. And Falco. But then Hungrybox came on, and Jigglypuff's on the top now, somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Things like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's...
And that really does a lot to establish the longevity.
I was gonna say there's something to say about something lasting a long time. I think it's a testament to the fact that it's doing something better than the things that don't. And some of these old fighting games, people have been playing them for 20 years or more. But nobody is probably going to be playing Dragon Ball FighterZ in 5 years from now.
No, because the game is ever changing. It's like a weird live service.
Yeah, as soon as they drop support for it, people will probably play it for another couple years, and then it's just gonna be over.
Yes, it's just gonna end. And a large portion of that is a large portion. I'm really good at speaking.
Yeah.
A large portion of that is the idea, or is capitalism being bad. Like always, capitalism sucks. But it's you have to push them to the next product to make money, so that you can make more product, so you can make more money.
Yeah.
So having a really long-running fighting game like that doesn't make money. It makes money to a point where if you support it for about a year or two, you can get more of a fighting game community around it.
Yeah.
And supporting it until you plan on making the next one, of course. And now I'm not saying that this cynical reason is why fucking Arc System Works wants to rebalance their game.
Yeah.
But it is probably a lot of the reason why companies allow it. Companies what is it, Bandai Namco, who handles the Dragon Ball license?
Yeah.
Yeah. They allow it because it'll make money.
No, I mean, would it be Bandai Namco?
I think it's Bandai Namco. I think.
I mean, I know Shonen Jump is in there.
Yeah. They have a lot of those things.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, I think really most of it is just the fact that fighting game fans think they want it.
Yeah, they do. It's weird. When you play against fucking Bayonetta in Smash 4, you're thinking God, why they have the ability to patch it? Why don't they just nerf her?
Yeah.
Which I don't think they ever did.
No, they never did.
She's still just stupid strong.
I mean, that's kind of Nintendo's fucking what is it? Not Nintendo, but whoever developed
Sakurai.
Is it developed in-house at Nintendo now, Smash Brothers?
No, it's developed by Sora. Sakurai's
okay. Well, yeah, that's the way they do it. Is they release these DLC characters, and the last couple ones are stupidly OP, and then they don't rebalance them on purpose.
Yes.
Just
to sell the DLC across the lifetime of the product.
Yeah, and then they just release the new game.
Yeah. Because they're monsters. Hopefully, with Smash coming out so early in this console's lifespan, we'll see, I guess, more of a balancing attempt, maybe.
Yeah.
I doubt it, though. Whoever that last DLC character is, they're gonna be fucking broken.
Goku.
Sora! I'm not naming names who I want it to be. Sora! But, I'm just really hoping that Sora! Certain characters get a fair shake to get in. Sora from Kingdom Hearts, that one.
What else? What else used to be good?
Speaking of old, good, new, bad, the Kingdom Hearts visual style.
Ah, yes.
I don't want to sound like one of those people who hate Kingdom Hearts 3, because I genuinely love Kingdom Hearts 3. I think it's a really good game.
Yeah.
With a very nice, touching plot that, just wraps up the story in a nice, neat way before sending us into hell. And the visual style is not my favorite. It looks super fake, and it looks like a fucking Pixar movie, is what it looks like.
It does, but it looks worse. A lot of people...
Considerably worse.
Back when Kingdom Hearts 3 was first getting shown off, people would, put comparison screenshots between, like, the original Toy Story and, like, the Kingdom Hearts cutscenes. And people would be like, oh, look at how much progress we made. Real-time graphics look better than pre-rendered used to. Except it doesn't. Like, I guess the color design is more appealing, but it's not as detailed.
No,
it looks bad.
It looks really bad, yeah. Toy Sora is, like eerily smooth.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, just the way the visuals overall have aged over the years, you know? Like, the originals have this really nice quality to them.
I mean, where, like, the thing that makes the originals look nice is the fact that it's pretty much entirely texture work. Like, there's not even a real-time lighting system for the most part. It's just literally, like, they have polygons and they have textures and, like, that's it. It has a very handcrafted quality to the graphics.
Yes, the models in early Kingdom Hearts, and especially the animations, look so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, people like to meme a lot about how, like, the characters will snap in and out of, like, these two models that are, like, one of them's, like, the blah, 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 it just does the lip flaps. And it's like, people focus a lot on just the weird, uncanny lip flaps, but nobody mentions how amazing the games look when they fully animate the characters.
Yeah.
There's so many good shots in Kingdom Hearts. Like, it's honestly just part of the whole package. Like, a huge piece of the appeal is just how good the animations are.
Especially in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, the character animations on the fully detailed character models were on, like, such a different level than, like, almost anything else on the PS2.
If you have never done it before, next time you're looking at Kingdom Hearts 2 cutscenes, watch Donald and Goofy. Look at their facial expressions. These are characters that you would never think to look at. And yet, they have super detailed, super on-model character expressions for almost every cutscene.
Yeah. And then compare that with, like, the amount of expression you get out of, like, the cutscene character models from other PS2 games.
Yeah. It's like, nothing.
Yeah. Now, I know that, like, it's going for, like, the Disney style, but still, just, like, the amount of animation work going on is just more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to bring up what I was saying about the whole difference between, like, sprite animations and the stuff that Arc System Works does with their 3D animation now. I think it's a good comparison between, like, the old Kingdom Hearts stuff and the new ones, because the new Kingdom Hearts stuff is going much for, like, a real-time Pixar look, whereas the original ones were, like I said, they had a handcrafted quality to them.
Yes.
I have always, in basically every medium, been much more of a fan of stuff where it is, like, more handcrafted. If we could put it on, like, a spectrum, there's, like, art that's coming more from, like, the place that painting is, where it's, like, you simply create an image by hand. And then there's something more like sculpture, where it is a physical thing that you merely form into a new thing. Yes. And it's the world itself which, like, creates things like the lighting and stuff. Like, it's the difference between animating something by hand and then doing, like, a claymation. Where it's like, yes, you made the clay figure, but it's still being lit by, like, all these different things that it's like, you didn't paint the light, stuff like that. The original Kingdom Hearts, outside of the fact that it is literally, like, 3D models, it's created visually almost entirely by hand. All of the animation is done by hand. Like, all of the texture work is done by hand. They paint the lighting of every level. Like, it's not baked. It's just, you can tell when you're looking at it that you're, like, almost everything you're seeing was intentionally, like, visually made, but just by, like, texture artists. And then the new ones are more like a Pixar film, where it is like a 3D animation, where much of it is more up to, like, the technology and all sorts of things. It's taking much after that, like, sculpture sort of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just handcrafting an image is so much more appealing. And that is why I like older graphics so much more, is because it's like, there was so much that's just like, it's just a polygon and then you paint a texture onto it. Mm-hmm. And you create a scene that way.
I mean, yeah.
Or you just use sprites. Sprites look great.
Yeah. You know, I am impressed. We've made it an hour and 30 minutes. We have not mentioned a certain somebody who is the perfect example of this exact
Are you talking about the blue blur?
Am I talking about Mega Man? No. Why would I ever be talking about Mega Man? I'm talking about Sonic! Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. Oh, God. Oh, God. What happened?
There's just not much else to say other than old good, new bad.
Literally, old good, new bad. Now, the fight is where you draw the old line. Like, the line between them, you know? Personally,
what came after 06?
Sonic Unleashed was the next mainline game.
Alright, I think Sonic 06 was the last old Sonic game.
I draw the line at Unleashed just because I like that game a lot. I think it's very good. But
for me, Unleashed is in the same part of the Sonic old to new timeline where the PS3 is in the old to new timeline of consoles. Where
so it's still good.
It much closer resembles new, but it is still old.
Yeah, I agree there. Sonic Unleashed is living proof that the new modern quote-unquote Sonic formula can work. It's just that the Sonic team has no talent. At all. They simply do not have the creative talent to create a good video game anymore.
And what is it? For anybody at home thinking, oh, but Sonic Mania was good. It wasn't developed by Sonic Team. It's not a real Sonic game, though it is good.
Yeah. It is very good, yes, and it is designed to mimic the old, which is why it turned out good.
Yeah.
I think generally speaking, I still kind of prefer Sonic 3 to it a little bit. Just because Sonic 3 itself is such a bizarre product, you know?
Yeah.
Sticks out in my mind more that I have to, like, lock the cartridges together to, like, play the full game. But if I do that, the final boss goes missing from Sonic 3 for some reason.
Yeah.
It's all weird. I love it.
That's another aspect of how old consoles were nice, is the fact that the storage media was literally just like a board that you are now linking to the internal board of the system. It enabled so much more. Like, you could put your own hardware in the fucking cartridge.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever heard of the game Mr. Gimmick, otherwise known as Gimmick in Japan? That game is fascinating, because it is well known for having one of the best soundtracks on the NES, and the reason it was able to do that is because, the NES and the Famicom have different chipsets, different, like, pin sizes, and the one on the NES is smaller. Gimmick, infamously for localizers, used, and emulators, of course, used the wider chipset. And then it also put an extra few sound channels in the cartridge to create its soundtrack. And this made the game almost impossible to localize because it was completely incompatible with the NES in almost every conceivable way. They eventually figured it out, and they put it on this like special cartridge that only a select few Sunsoft games used. That had a bunch of extra sound channels, so that the whole audio, like all of the soundtrack, could actually play through the NES. If you try to emulate this game, its audio sounds like dog shit. It's so bad. But if you play it on, like, an actual Famicom, it sounds amazing. It is an amazing soundtrack. And it's only possible because the developers were able to literally add on to the console itself. Do not try to buy this game. I would not recommend it. Not the game. The game's fine. The game's, like, good. I mean, like, buying it.
Hold up.
Let me okay. Editor, we're back.
Yeah.
Alright. I have now confirmed the price of an authentic gimmick cartridge.
Yeah.
They are over $1,000.
What? No way.
They are very expensive. This game is a cult classic now. It is, like, considered, like... What about
the Famicom version?
No, that is the Famicom version.
Oh.
Gimmick NES. Let me check. Are there even any for sale? I mean, you can get a reproduction cart with the proper board for, like, $200. Yeah, no, there it is. Fucking $3,300.
God.
It is, the holy grail of NES collecting, essentially. Getting your hands on this game is a nightmare. Trust me, I've been trying to do it for years. But yes, that case of old, very good.
Yeah.
We were talking about, like, hardware, right? I think?
Oh, I don't know.
There was another... I remember now. Pokemon.
I don't know. I've never been able to get into Pokemon. But the old anime, good.
Yes, old anime, good, of course.
Old anime,
but allow me to explain why old good, new bad.
Sure.
So the old anime ran. Literally, it started airing like the day before the game released in the U.S. So, as a child, the way you would experience Pokemon is you would see it on TV, you'd be like, oh, I want a Pokemon!
Yeah.
I want to go on a Pokemon journey! And then you would, like, tell your mom, can I have the Pokemon? Can I have the Pokemon, please? Can I have the Pokemon, please? And she'd be like, no, shut up, leave me alone. And she'd, like, put her cigarette out on you. Not kidding, I'm kidding. Don't do that to your children. So, like, you would talk to your friends, and you'd be like, well, I want to get blue version, and they'd be like, well, I want to get red version, and then, your moms would get you them, and you would watch the show, and you'd be able to, like, experience going to those, like, locations in the show, and, like, you'd meet the characters from the show, like, in your video game,
yeah.
And it was, like, this cool, like, multimedia experience for, like, kids in the 90s, and, like, you know, there was trading and there was battling that you could do with your friends, and people would try to complete the Pokedex, and it would be, like, an ungodly amount of grinding to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like a cute, like, fun game, and, like, the game itself is just, like, this very simplistic RPG that, like, isn't super grand in scope or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even by the end of the game, spoilers for Pokemon, even by the end of the game, they would, like, the big bad at the end of that game was just, like, some dude, you know? It was just your rival dude who was, like, you know, smell you later.
Yeah.
All the time. It was just him. And, like, you were just fighting for, like, this, like, fucking title, and that was it, you know? It was very different from the RPGs of the time where, like, every Dragon Quest ended with, like, you fought the big bad Dragon Lord who was destroying the world.
Yeah.
And, like, every Final Fantasy was, like, you're killing God, deal with it. And every weird small RPG typically took after Final Fantasy in some respect. And then there was Pokemon, which was very small in scope, and it remained so for a decent chunk of time. Say what you will about the legendary god battles, the main grab of, like, the game, the thing that still beats the game is, like, just getting that stupid title, you know? It's getting your name in the Hall of Fame and, like, you know, beating the champion in the Elite Four. That's still the ending. No matter how much weird shit they tack on. So, like, Pokemon was very small in scope, and it was just meant to be just, like, a fun little adventure game for you and your friends, and as it went on, they just, like, they lost it, you know?
Yeah.
They forgot about that. And I'd argue that Pokemon was still good up through Gen 5, because Gen 5 had a very big, artistic, like, message to send, you know? That was, very interesting. For its time.
Yeah.
Especially when PETA made a parody of it and missed the point.
Yeah.
That was a fun saga. I enjoyed that. But, like, you know, Pokemon just slowly but surely kept dropping the ball and missing the point and missing what people enjoyed about the games over and over again, and it's led to this really weird, angry, divisive fan base that, like, can't seem to agree on, like, what makes any Pokemon game good, or which ones are good, or, like, why certain ones are bad, or, like, they can't seem to let anything go, or let anyone just exist with a different opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just, Pokemon itself just became so shit over time. I don't know, maybe part of that was the fact that it didn't really... It tried to keep up with the times, right? But there wasn't any development talent to be able to keep up with the times. If they had just stuck with what they had, good 2D sprite artists, and, you know, 2D animators, and they had, like, you know, they had, like, good region planning if they kept it as, like, a smaller scope. And then they just forgot all of it. And, like, Kalos was, like, this big, bloated mess where nothing flowed into each other. That's Gen 6, by the way. Nothing flowed into it, like, into each other. And all of the 3D models were kind of uncanny. And it ran at, like, 15 FPS because you can't put super high poly models on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And, like, they tried anyways, and it's just like every Pokemon game has been a repeat of those mistakes over and over again.
Yeah.
When, like, literally they just had to keep doing what they were doing. I don't care if they iterated on the gameplay, as long as the Pokemon still looked good, and they were still doing really good sprite work. And, I mean, the music's always been pretty good. I don't care much for the Gen 8 soundtrack, but the Gen 6 and 7 soundtracks are still good. But they just kept up with, like, the good 2D character designs and, like, the worlds, like, that felt, like, very, I don't know, I guess more personal in the earlier games, you know?
Yeah, they were like, more down to earth. Like,
yeah,
a lot of what I don't like about, like, newer Pokemon games is, like, the design of everything. Like, especially character designs. I think character designs are super lame.
Yes.
Like, they're way more over the top. They're just, like, stupid looking.
Mm-hmm.
All of, like, older Pokemon character designs, they just look like people. They were, like, wearing clothes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, like, unironically, like, honestly, one of the best designs in Pokemon history is, fucking, like, Flannery from Gen 3. I don't know if you've seen her. If you just look her up, though, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's just, like, some chick. She's wearing, like, jeans and a t-shirt. But, like, the way that she's, like, posed, and the way that she talks to you, and the way that her hair is done, and, like, the color choices tell you so much about her.
It's definitely more out there than, like, the original Pokemon character designs. But it's still not like the new Pokemon character designs.
No. It feels more like an anime character design from the time period, you know?
Somebody
could
could conceivably be wearing these and be like a regular person, just definitely more showy.
Yeah. I mean, that tells you a lot about her, you know? But yeah, it's weird because, like, they just forgot everything that made the series special. If they had just kept the series a more down-to-earth, personal journey, you know?
Yeah.
No one cares if the evil team is, like, killing everything or something, you know?
Yeah.
There are definitely good evil team stories in there, you know?
Yeah. No, it's not that new Pokemon is, like, all bad. I wanted to sort of talk about the anime, but you know what? New Pokemon anime good, from what I hear.
Yeah, I've heard it's good, but
at least compared to the sea of old Pokemon anime that is now old, it's all bad. Like the first season of Pokemon is really good. It's never been as good as that. Specifically because it was so much more creatively original. Like whoever was helming the first season of the Pokemon anime. First of all, it's way more Japanesey. Like, so much of that show was not carried over. It's also just, like, I don't know, there's so many things in there that you wouldn't expect if you watch the original Japanese version. There's a lot of character to it. There's a lot more, like, defined, like, actual character development of, like, the entire main crew. And then once
Yeah.
you get through with the actual, like, first series, not just the first season, but the entire, like, first series, slowly over time, Pokemon kind of just takes the formula that was the original anime series and just slowly removes more and more of it over time as the series goes global and becomes more popular and homogenized by the Pokemon company, essentially demanding that, like, Pokemon be something that's consistent, that you always know what you're gonna get. And so all of the creative elements of the original, very little is ever added to it. They only take away elements that, like, stand out to make it, like, too unusual. Like, they want Pokemon to be something that you put on the TV and you know what it's gonna be. And that really has ended up just making the vast majority of the Pokemon anime basically unwatchable at this point, because it's so fucking boring.
Yeah.
But they all changed it up once they reached, like, Sun and Moon or whatever. Like, they completely changed it up. And
which is a good thing.
Still don't like it as much as the original, but it's definitely good now.
I don't know, there's something to be said. The original Pokemon anime, like, if you just think about the place it must have come from, you know?
Yeah.
You are a director man for anime, and you are handed a Game Boy cartridge, and you were told, anime.
Make it anime.
Now. I need it now. And, you're told to sit down, you're told to play the Pokemon, and you're told to make the anime.
Yeah.
And so, you play this very simplistic game that's very down-to-earth. It's about just you wandering around, meeting the characters, talking to people, catching the Pokemon, making your own team, building your own personal connections, and you make that world, the journey as you experienced it, on the TV, you know?
Yeah.
You get things like Misty and Brock, like, joining up earlier. Like, you could probably, like, see in your head, like, the director being like, ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
If, like, they took a couple, like, gym leaders, or, like, if we expanded on the gym leaders' backstories and gave them, like, more stuff, and then the kids can see it in the game, and it'll be cool, you know? And, like, the older Pokemon stuff is way more inspired by the source material.
Yeah.
Rather than following the source material. Which is what every other Pokemon series did. You know? Mainly because the Pokemon Company was very restrictive about it at the time. Nowadays, even though they're adapting something with probably a few less restrictions, not like a ton, but a few less restrictions, it's still not the same, because the 3DS game is way more explicit about the content you're seeing, you know? Yeah. It's no longer, like, making your imagination run, you know?
Yeah.
You see the things happening, and they're happening, and whatever, who cares, you know?
Yeah.
You're not thinking about the world that you're put in anymore, you're just watching it unfold, and it's a sad, thing that's come out of, I guess, the advancement of video games.
Yeah.
You know? There's something to be said about the abstractions that old developers had to go through, I guess. Yeah. Like, I don't know. That might be why the Avatar creator's super fucking lame in Sonic Forces.
Yeah.
Like, part of the reason, you know? But I don't know.
We're at, like, an hour 43 minutes on the recording. I think we should wrap it up.
This has been quite the episode.
Next time... You know what? What if next time we just did, like, a new good, old bad?
New good, old bad. Holy shit. We can save that for the next time Sayu is absent.
Yeah.
For now, we should probably do... What was the topic we were going to do?
We were going to do 2000s anime culture.
Yes, we should probably do that.
Specifically, like, the Western culture. But I think we can include discussion of both ends.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds like enough.
Speakpipe.com/3baka. We have no voicemail.
No!
Have I uploaded the last episode yet?
You've made me so sad, 3Baka fan community. You've made me so sad. I will never recover. I will die like this. Do we have a new comment?
No. The last episode was the Arcades episode.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, no, the last episode was things we can't get into.
Yes.
Is there...
Is there a comment
we
on
already
that one?
responded to those in episode 9.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Alright.
Wow.
So with this new recording schedule, I'm gonna get on time. I'm gonna do it.
Yes. I hope so.
Just like I'm gonna finish that drawing tonight. Hopefully.
Okay. Well, that's a good stopping point, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's our bit? We need an ending bit. How do we not have an ending bit?